Hello, this is the same guy that did the amateurish video on the Alienware 17 1440p. I had an issue in the last video with temperature, and even in Rise of the Tomb Raider when I was doing a benchmark, the computer shut off in the middle of the video, which was great because you guys got to see some negative behavior of the laptop. What's not great is that it happened. So I wanted to correct these issues, and that's what I want to talk to you about here, how I corrected those issues and what you can do to also do the same. Any files or programs that I show you, I will upload into, or I will post into the Reddit thread that I'm posting this video on. So no worries, you will find everything. And again, this will be very raw footage. I am not editing anything in this video, so everything's going to be real time. So forgive me for that, but I just really am not into doing that. Sorry. I'm mainly doing this for people that really want to help themselves with the Alienware and what have you. So like I said in the previous video, temperatures were very high, computer shut off, and Alienware's response, I believe his name is Umar, I don't remember, but the PR rep that talks in Reddit quite a bit, he said that you should update your BIOS to 1.0.6 and that will correct the issue. It doesn't really correct the issue. It makes it a little better, but it far from corrects it. The temperatures stay in the 90s still after I installed the update. So although my computer stopped shutting off, it's still, the temperatures are still very high. And I heard they actually, this may or may not be true, but I heard that they boosted the temperature at which the laptop shuts off past 100 to something higher. I haven't been getting over 100 anymore, so I can't really confirm that. Even so, that's not really a great thing. That's just seems like they fixed it and they didn't. I think maybe I dropped about 5 degrees on average, but that is not good enough. So I was looking on Reddit, and thank you to all the Redditors that were helping me understand more about this, and I went and did my own research and started doing it on my own. And I wanted to show you my results and how I did it. So this is called Undervolting, and this is a process that is supposedly very safe. Again, take it at your own risk, but from what I've read and from what I've understood and everything I've done has been very safe. So I wouldn't be too worried about this. If you are, I suggest you go and do the research yourself. If you trust me, then go ahead and just do what I tell you. I use Intel Extreme Tuner. There are other programs, but this is the one I used. When you open it up, this is basically what you'll see. If it's not what you see, please click Core right here. You may have an older version, and if you have an older version, I've seen other versions that have different names for all these things, or for many of these options, but you generally get the same information, so be careful with that. This is the newest version available, so I suggest if you're following this video and this video alone to get the newest version. Again, I will link that. Certain things you want to pay attention to. All of these data marks, you can, I believe it started off with 4 when I opened it up. If you want other things, you could add what I added here, or you can click here and add whatever you feel like it. So again, I click the wrench to the top right of the graph, and you can clear data here and it will disappear. There you go. Okay, so Right now, this is pretty much the only thing I want you to pay attention to, right up here top. You want to keep it at adaptive and core voltage offset. Right now, I'm just going to keep it at 0 because I want to show you kind of a before and after situation. I'm not going to do anything right now. I'm going to minimize this. And oh, if you want, just for your own testing, if you don't have a game or anything, you can just go to stress test, click the CPU stress test, start testing, and you can even set the time here. 5 minutes is usually okay. There are individuals that would want to do it much more time just to be sure of things, but you can do 5 minutes for now. Now, the reason you would want to stress test is basically just to make sure that when you lower the voltage, just to make sure your computer is working okay. The one downside of undervolting is if you undervolt too far, eventually you'll get the blue screen of death, which you don't really need to worry about that. It'll just restart, and since we're using this program, it will just go back to the default values when you restart. So it's safe, you don't have to worry, and that's why we're using the program as opposed to doing it manually. So if you're doing it manually, then you need to worry about other things, but all you have to do is basically play with it. But don't go crazy or anything. Don't go too low, and I'll show you what are the safe numbers. But for now, we're going to keep it at 0. And sorry, this is my camera. I'm going to open Tomb Raider, since this is actually the game that typically shut off my computer at the benchmark. At the top left, I have MSI Afterburner running, so you can actually see the FPS and temperatures. Let me lower the temperature. Hopefully that's not too bad on you. Sorry if it was. Let's see. So I'm going to click Start Benchmark. If you're one of those perfectionists that has to see the graphics, I have everything at very high. Ooh, sorry. So I'm glad I checked this. Okay, pure hair is on. Very high, very high, high, very high, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so max settings. And I'll click it again, make sure it's set. Yep, very high. Okay, so everything is maxed. And I'm not sure if that actually applies to the benchmark or not, but like I said, the benchmark made me reach pretty high anyway. And as you can see, I'm already at 83 degrees. I'm not even doing anything. I'm hoping you can see that value at the top left. If you can't, yeah, I'm reaching 95 degrees at the moment. 94. I'm actually very worried about this shutting off while I'm recording. It doesn't usually shut off here. It will shut off in the next scene if it does. And if it does, maybe I will have to edit and splice videos together. The fans are in max pumping out air right now, so we're at 96. .96 is still the high. And again, I've already warned you that I'm not editing this at all. But even if you can't see the temperatures and the frames per second, you will be able to see it at the end. Not the temperature, sorry, the frames per second. You'll see the averages at the end of the benchmark. The GPU is only hitting 65. That's never really a problem. Okay, so here you have the frames per second, 70 on average, 50, 50. And overall score of 60 frames per second. So I want you to remember that number. 60 frames per second overall score is the one I want you to remember, 60. Okay? Okay. So that is with nothing altered on my computer except for the BIOS update. And like I said, it kind of corrected it about 5 degrees, and notice it was at 96. So, and usually it would tend to shut off on that second scene at 96. So I probably would have hit 101 if my numbers are correct. So I'm going to quit the game. Alright, so now what do we do to make it better? Let me make sure I'm still recording. Okay, I'm paranoid. So I want you to lower the voltage by 0.1. That is very, very safe. Very safe number, okay? And all you have to do is hit apply, and you can even save it. I just saved it as 0.1 or 0.15 just so I know which ones they are. And if you want to see the max temperatures, if you couldn't see it in, but with my MSI Afterburner in the top left, and this is actually clocking me at 97 degrees I was reaching. So off by a degree, depending on which program you trust more. I'm going to clear that. Is there any reason to keep this up now? Well, graphics temperature maximum was 70 degrees on the GPU. Again, GPU is never really a problem on this model. So I'm going to clear the data. I probably should have left it up actually. So I'm going to, I already applied it. So now I'm going to stress test it again. So again, sorry, this video is probably a bit boring, but I know it's probably informative for many of you, so. Okay, notice that's all I did was I subtracted minus 0.1 and I hit apply, and it's already done. That's all I had to do. I'm going to start benchmark. And notice when I started last time, I was already in the 80s when I was in this screen, and now I'm at 70. Also note that the frames per second will not lower. If anything, it gets higher. Fantastic. Do you like my singing? Okay, I wasn't paying attention at first, sorry, but I believe the max I've hit so far was 91. Right now it's in the 40s. Compared to last time, that is insanely good. Look at that. Barely breaking 60. And it still looks beautiful. Oh, what am I talking about? I'm sorry, I was looking at frames per second. I thought that was really low. Yeah, I'm in the 80s right now. Sorry about that. It's been a long day. Okay, so now we're at 63 frames per second. So I lowered the temperature by what, about 10 degrees? At least. And the frames per second actually increased by 3. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to do it one more time. Now, I did minus 0.1, right? So if this is your first time doing it, I really recommend you maybe doing 0.01 more or less each time and benchmarking each time. And again, you don't have to pull up a game. You can just do a stress test and make sure your computer is okay and stable and you don't get the blue screen of death. I honestly think if you are the type that is impatient, honestly, you're probably good at 0.15. If you are slightly patient, maybe do 0.02, increase it by or decrease it by 0.02 each time. Since I already know it's safe, I'm going to do 0.15, and that's what I actually kept it at. This is the number I keep my computer at right now. And the reason it actually can go lower than that, and I've gone as low as 0.18, I believe it was my lowest. And I might have been able to go lower than that, but honestly, I didn't feel the need to. The reason I didn't feel the need to was because my FPS was not improving and my temperatures were no longer improving after 0.15. It never got better past that, so there's not really a point in lowering it any further. Sure, there's the argument of battery life, but it's not a significant enough a significant difference, so there's not really a point in doing that. You'll get a small difference, but honestly, it's not that big of a deal. So I keep it at 0.15, and that also will leave me quite a bit of buffer before worrying about that blue screen of death. So I keep mine at 0.15. You can do so too. But again, just make sure that's safe, stress test it, because I don't want this thing shutting down when you're playing a game. That would really suck. And I don't want to say I told you so. So make sure you test it. And again, if you get the screen of death, don't worry about it. It's not that big of a deal. It'll restart and go back to... honestly, I'm not positive if it's the original default value or if it's the last value that you had. But in any case, it will go back to a safe value. Okay. So I have it at 0.15, and I'm going to clear this since this is all... Alright, so Rise of the Tomb Raider, one more time. Yeah, I'm hoping you guys do see these MSI Afterburner numbers. If you don't, it's still a nice program to have up on your own computer that you can see. So I will link that as well for you guys. Start benchmark. So this time I'm looking at the correct number, 65 degrees starting out, 120 frames per second, 52 on the GPU. So far the max temperature is 72 degrees. $77. And here's the difficult scene to process. 80 degrees. 82. $83. Yep, so it's looking like 83 will probably be the max temperature, which again, I believe the highest temperature from my original benchmark was 96, if I remember correctly, to 83. So that is a 13-degree decrease. Phenomenal. And before the BIOS update, I was hitting 100, possibly a bit more, but the computer shut off, so I wouldn't know. And my FPS is still at around 63. Obviously, that's going to vary, but notice it is still 2 to 3 degrees higher. Actually, more than, I think, yeah, about 3 degrees exactly higher than the original benchmark. So, not only did my performance improve, so did my technically battery life, although it's very insignificant, as well as the temperature. And my GPU, I think the high was a 65, maybe. I'll check the Intel program to double check that. 66 was the high for the GPU with 42 low, 59 average. The CPU was this is saying 82 high, 67 average, 44 low. Okay, and I'm going to keep it at the 0.15. Now, I actually had a question when I was first doing this about whether or not I need to keep this open every time, and I noticed a lot of people were trying to make sure this program was open every time, otherwise it won't work. But actually it does work. Someone pointed this out on Reddit for me, but I also figured out before that that there is, and if you want to double check, you can click Alt-Control-Delete, Task Manager, background processes, and go all the way down, and where is it? Oh, sorry. So this XTU service, if this is on, your settings are on as well. So this, as long as you have it saved in this program, and this is running, your settings are on. So I'm going to X this out, and I'll double check. There it is. So I'm going to exit the Intel tuner, and notice the tuner left the screen, the process, but the XTU service stayed. So as long as this is up, your settings are saved and running. So I am still at that 0.15. Okay. I won't bother testing that. I know it's true, so if you're paranoid about that, you can always test it. But it stays. Okay. And that's pretty much it. So let's see. Any other program or any other problems I was having? It was mainly the temperature, right? I'm still having slight program issues and issues with AlienFX. So if anyone can help me out with that, that would actually be great. My problem is one problem is it could be user error, but I have the AlienFX on, and right now it's off. So if I click Go Light, all of my lights are on right now. But if I keep my computer on long enough, and it's only if it's on for like hours, and if I want to go to sleep but keep my computer on, I have the computer set so that if I close the lid, the computer stays on, everything keeps running. But if I right click and click Go Dark, my lights turn off just fine. But when I close the lid, the lights come back on, which is kind of strange. But it only happens if I've had my computer, like if I haven't restarted my computer in like 8 hours or something. So it feels like it's some sort of an issue in the computer and not user error, but maybe I'm doing something wrong. So if you guys have a tip for me, that'd be great. Also, and forgive me, I'm not saying anything else about the temperatures. This is just helping me. Let's see. Also, same thing. If I keep my computer on for an extended period of time without restarting, 8 hours or more. Sometimes I just, some programs will start freezing up, like maybe settings. If I go in here and I click settings, sometimes going in here it won't, it'll just freeze. And it's kind of difficult to explain. It just kind of stops, or it goes really, really slow. Or if I download something on Chrome, or any browser for that matter, but if I download something in Chrome, it'll get to 100%, but never actually finish, so I can't open the program. It just gets stuck at 100%, or I guess right before 100%. So I'm having those issues. Also, if I have the Tobii eye tracking, and when I restart it, it takes a few minutes. Like if I leave it alone for a few minutes at the user sign-in screen, it'll take a few minutes before the tracker will truly look for me and sign me in. If I try to do it immediately, it just keeps saying it's looking for me. But it doesn't seem to be working that well. I used to think it was because it needed an internet connection, and I actually have to sign in to get my internet connection every time. So I figured maybe that was it, that it didn't have its internet connection when I first start the computer. But that's not it, because sometimes it does work. I just have to wait a minute or two, and then it'll work. So I found that strange. Otherwise, it was actually pretty cool. I was standing maybe 5 feet away from the computer, and I was standing, like I wasn't even sitting at my desk, and it actually noticed me. And that was the first time I realized that I didn't need an internet connection, because I just kind of I restarted it while I was in the bathroom, came back out, and walked past my screen, and it was like, "Oh, we found you." And I was like, "What?" Okay. So those are my problems. If anyone is able to help me with any of them, I'd be very grateful. So that is it. Sorry for my mumbling and my stuttering and all the above. I hope this helped some of you, and also thank you to anyone who kept listening to me mumble on. So thank you very much, and I will end it here. Again, if you have any questions for me, please feel free to comment on the Reddit thread. YouTube, if you are not on the Reddit page, there's less of a chance that I will respond to you. I might even be nice and post that the original Reddit thread in the YouTube comments, so you might want to go there if you want to talk to me. Otherwise, have a good day, everyone.